tell me one thing I would have thought would have taken a lot of willpower. You were at one stage of your career a very heavy woman, I understand.
Yes.
And for most of us mortals, it's very hard to cope with even taking off 10 pounds.
Well, there is willpower. That is willpower.
I was going to say, that must have taken tremendous willpower.
Yes, and also I just had it, as they say. I was bored with the situation. I was not well.
What made you decide to...
I'll tell you exactly. I was doing Medea then, and at the Maggio Fiorentino for the first time. And I remember that my instinct, which is normally good, my first instinct was saying that the face is too fat and I can't stand it because I needed the chin for expression in certain very hard phrases and cruel phrases,
yes.
or tense phrases. And I felt, as a woman of theater that I was and am, that I needed the necklines and the chin lines to be very thin and very pronounced. So I was annoyed. I darkened the color of all that, but it's nonsense. You can't do that. Then, after the Maggio Fiorentino, I went to Rome to sing Lucia. Singing Lucia was such a hard ordeal for me in the first act. I was getting so heavy that even my vocalizing was heavy.
That's interesting.
So I was tiring myself. I was perspiring too much, and I really was working too hard. So then I said, well, now I've had enough of it. And I wasn't really well as health. I couldn't move freely. And then I was tired of playing again, like, for instance, playing a beautiful young woman. And I was a heavy, uncomfortable woman to move around. Though heavy, one can say, yes, I was. But I'm a tall woman, 5'8.5", and I used to weigh not more than 200 pounds. It's all right, it's heavy. But for a young woman, I'm a tall woman. But in any case, it was uncomfortable, and I didn't like it. And I felt now, if I'm going to do things right, I studied all my life to put things right musically. Why don't I just diet and put myself into a certain condition that I'm presentable?
Well, I'm fascinated to hear you say it because I have always believed, too, that a singer is like an athlete.
Exactly, because if you're overweight, well, then it's too tiring. You will try and carry around 30 kilos on your back. Let's see how you can walk after a while.
I know.
You can't do it.
Absolutely. Well, where did the theory come from?
Myself, my own self. I only take my own decisions. I talk with myself frequently, Mr. Downs. And,
That's interesting.
oh, yes, mainly during the evening, or every now and then I just withdraw to myself and I calculate things, and I say, well, this happened and that happened. Why should this happen? Why did I do that? And why should I do that? And why don't I do it better? And why don't you have enough willpower? And, you reason with yourself. Doesn't it happen to you?
Not that systematically, I think. You
Well,
sound
we
as if you
should.
really...
When you finish a performance or when you study, at the end of the day, you say, well, my day was made of this and that and that. Now, this and that happened. Let's see what we can do tomorrow. The good things we forget about. Said, well, that was supposed to happen. We should have done good.
Yes.
Now, what about the bad things? Well, let's see how can we improve those bad things.
You sound
This
very
is-
self-critical.
Terribly, and I could overdo it. But I prefer that with all my crises rather than just sit down
of
and enjoy
course.
glory, because
Of course.
sitting down and enjoying glory means the end of great art, because you're happy with what you do, and then there's no progress,
And you don't have changes.
and there's no.
Well, since you are so self-critical and so aware and
I must.
determined to grow, could I ask you, can you remember what has been for you...
I'm not determined to grow. I am, forgive my correcting you there.
Please.
It is my will to do what I do better. It's a matter of
That's
feeling
what I
well
mean
with
by
myself.
That's what I mean
See
by
what I
growing.
mean?
Yes.
I mean, well, I'm happy with myself. I did my best.
Yes.
And tomorrow I'll do even more.
Yes.
So you see, it's a matter of amour propre. How can we say it?
Of pride.
Feeling of pride, of duty, yes.
Yes.
I do it for myself.
Yes. You say you have struggled psychologically, you have struggled artistically, you discipline yourself. What has been a problem that has taken more of your strength than...
Pessimism. I'm a terrible pessimist.
Is that so?
I think I'm incapable of doing a good job, and I try so hard to do a better job that sometimes you ruin things,
One can try
You
too
lose
hard,
control.
I suppose.
Yes, and you lose control you think you're doing nothing good, so that, in other words, that pulls down your relaxation and your...
That's true, but
I
isn't
can't
that
explain
part
it.
of the
Yes.
dynamo of what
That's true.
makes you
Yes,
keep
but any
striving.
exaggeration is not good. I
No.
realize that, but it's not always easy.
Of course
You
it's
see,
not.
I've had so much glory, and I have, that my pride would want me to do even more. So there's no end to that.
there is no end at all, but that is the marvelous thing, and that is what I meant by
That is why
the
I
feeling
dislike-
that
Yes.
you grow, because
Well, that is why I dislike when critics treat me so cruelly sometimes, because I know exactly what I do. I even know what I do worse. I tear myself even more to pieces. So I dislike being told that I should do this, I should do that, when I know far only too well what I should do.
of course,
So
of course.
you see what a funny, rebellious nature I am?
Well, not at all. You're most
I know.
self-aware and sensitive person.
Yes.